Alright guys, welcome back. Today doing a review of the Hot Toys Ironman 3 Mark 42 DieCast 1/6 scale figure. Alright, so just received this guy yesterday. Didn't really have a whole lot of time to spend with them then, but I do now, so I figured I would go ahead and do a review. As you can see, I set it up for the full battle damaged look. I know a lot of people right out of the box are, just showing the clean look. Being that I film these reviews one-handed, I thought you would get a little bit more out of the review if I went ahead and just went into the full battle damaged look that they provide instead of the clean. So anyone looking for a review of the full clean look, there's a lot of great reviews out there. So getting into this review, the Mark 42 has been delayed quite a bit. It was released in China a little over a month ago, maybe getting closer to 2 months now. Sideshow has finally shipped out their figures, and that's where I've purchased mine. So I got this in. Very happy. It's very highly anticipated figure for me. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, some delays in shipping, and there's also been a lot of reports of issues with this figure. So I want to go ahead and just discuss some of those right off the bat before I get into the figure. Now, as far as issues go, there's been a pretty decent number. The main and most common one is the arm. Specifically, tends to be the right arm breaking at the shoulder. Hot Toys developed this new joint. See how I pull that out? And there was a lot of issues here with that particular joint. As you could see, the Sideshow version that they shipped out has the one rubber, washer. Try and point it out as best as I can. It's that one right there. On the first release, there was 2 washers. This one here has 1. I know there's a lot of confusion out there on what's batch 1, what's batch 2, who's shipping out what. So Sideshow's shipping out the newer batch with the supposedly corrected issue. I say supposedly because there's still some people ending up with broken shoulders. Not as much out of the first batch, but there does seem to be some issues. Some people are getting that washer there. It's still binding up as they pose the figure. And so that's the main issue. That's issue number 1 that has come out. Luckily, I haven't had that issue, but, it's kind of a gamble on if you will or not. Issue number 2, see if I can get a good look at this, is you'll see this cog in the armpit. Let me point it out to you so you know exactly what I'm talking about. This cog right here. So that one right there is a flexible. You can see it has a little flexibility to allow the joint to pose without being too rigid and breaking. So what's happening on some of them, they're all warped out of place. Sorry about the shaky camera work here. I'm trying to get in as close to detail as I can. I think mine might be slightly warped, but seems pretty good. But a lot of people are getting that warped. Whether that affects the figure or not, I really don't know for sure. But I know it's a pet peeve for some people. Obviously, you pay $300 plus for a figure. you want the thing to be perfect, and rightly so. But again, I don't know if that's a major issue. I don't know if it is an issue or not. I've heard there's some fixes for it where you can maybe heat it up and reform it, since it's simply a soft plastic or rubber. So that's issue number 2. I've heard a few other issues with the figure as well. A lot of people have received the figure with the shoulder pads loose in the box. The shoulder pads that come with the figure are die-cast. Some of them are loose. That was the case for mine. The right shoulder was loose, but it actually hadn't floated around the box. It was still in the shoulder section of the box, so it hadn't floated around and chipped anything. But I do know other collectors who that has caused chips. I know Clipper King and a couple of the guys over on the Sideshow Freaks also, they got chips on their arc reactor piece, this part here that's not part of the swap out chest. So that had gotten chipped, or other parts of the figure. The paint had been chipped from parts floating around in the box. So that's issue number 3. And there's been a couple other issues, not so widespread. I know one member stated that they got a figure when after they put the batteries in, the lights flickered and no longer lit up. So that may be isolated. And then the last issue that I know of is if you watch 8-Man Ryan's review on his light up helmet, you take the faceplate off the helmet, and then you lift here to access the battery. And on his, it lifted the whole compartment here, exposing the electronics where it's not supposed to. Again, that's a one-off that I've heard. I haven't heard anyone else have that issue. But again, I don't know if it's widespread or not. I don't think it is, but it's an issue. Why am I starting off the review with telling you guys about all these issues? Because I think it needs to be said up front. Because that's a lot of issues, and that's putting a lot of people off on this figure. Understandably so. You know, it's kind of a gamble you're taking when you got you're deciding on purchasing a collectible. You know, am I going to get something that's defective? Am I going to get, you know, a good one? You know, and you're sitting there, you're hoping, you're worrying, whatever. Shouldn't be the case, bottom line. I understand this is a completely new designed figure, and they've done some new things, and you're going to have some hiccups along the way. This one has had some, you know, luckily for me, I don't seem to have those issues, and I'm sure most collectors don't have that, but there are enough issues out there to certainly point to some quality control issues with this release. So that may put some people off, and it's going to put me off in a degree as far as my recommendation for the purchase of the figure. You know, am I going to highly recommend something that may or may not be faulty? No, I'm not, because obviously that would be the wrong thing to do. Aside from that, now that I've got all of that bad stuff out of the way, I really want to get into this figure, the rest of it, because there's a ton of good with it. First off, when you get it out of the box, after having the plastic Ironman, it's kind of a shock to the senses, the weight of this thing. Extremely heavy. You definitely get a feel for, you know, the quality, you feel as if you've gotten a lot for your money. It's a very heavy piece. Definitely feels like a man in a suit of armor, which is awesome because that's what it is. And I can't say enough about it. DieCast has definitely got its benefits, and the weight and the realistic feel of it is one of them. Very impressed right out of the box. Number two, the design and execution of the figure is pretty stellar. The paint job is very impressive. The fit and finish, everything, all the joints are really tight. I'm sure you guys have seen other reviews of this figure. You know that the articulation is greatly improved to the point now where you can actually achieve the landing pose or the ground pound pose. So there's a lot more options now for posing. As you can see, like I showed you with the shoulder here, you know, it pops out now to give you greater range of movement. You see it slides back in. It's very hard to do with one arm. You see that, which is really nice. One of the other minor nits I have with it is, in the movie, the Mark 42 definitely gets a lot of battle damage, and when I decided, you know, what display option I'm going to go with in my DieCast, you know, I decided I really want to showcase this as kind of how it was shown in the movie, which is beat up. And for the most part, you get a lot of accessories to recreate that. You get the new helmet with the battle damage, the scrapes, the scuffs, the battle damaged Tony Stark portrait. Give you a better look at that, which is again another reuse of the mechanic or workshop Tony or any of the last few Iron Men that have had a face under the mask. I don't really have a problem with that. I know some people do, but being as they pretty well nail the sculpt, and it's all from the same movie, there's really not a whole lot of reason to go ahead and resculpt a whole new head. So I'm actually fine with that. And one of the things I've noticed with this particular one is the paint job is definitely, you know, different than it was on the Silver Centurion. I do have the Silver Centurion here to show you for an example. So as you can see right there, there's more battle damage on the cheek here on the Silver Centurion. There's different damage on the top of the head. And very similar damage across the nose and his left eye and lip. But one of the things you'll also notice is the dirt on his forehead and on his cheeks here. See that extra paint detail that they've added, which is not present on the Silver Centurion Tony Stark head. Also, obviously, they painted the eyes looking in different directions. So, out of the two, both are great. Both beautiful paint apps. But I think with the inclusion of the dirt on the Mark 42 Tony Stark head sculpt, it classes it one step above. And I really like that. Really looks good. You can also, on this particular one, see the start of Tony Stark's hairline. Where on this one, you really don't, for some reason. So, slightly better in the head sculpt department here on the Mark 42. Really nice job on that. You know, the dirt and the battle damage goes well with the, you know, the scrapes and scuffed and beat up suit, which is definitely the way I want to display him. Now, the problem, what I was started to talk about and kind of got distracted, is there's no battle damage on the rest of the suit. It's pretty much from the waist up. You get the battle damage. The swap out parts you get are the shoulder pads. You get one swap out part here for the arm. This is on a new magnetic system which pops apart and clips on, so you get a full wrist battle damage. You get a bunch of replacement, either repulsor blast gauntlets or straight on, which is what's here. But the problem is none of the hands have any battle damage on them, so all of them are perfectly clean. So that mix match there is kind of a little off-putting. Another thing I've noticed is in a lot of the Ironman suits, they do minor wear throughout the suit. Little tiny scuffs and scrapes, and that is not present here on the 42, which I think would have gone a long way to sell the full battle damage look. You know, with the full